All right, so continuing now with the registration process, basically we managed to get the account login created for Carl, and then of course we followed up with creating the legal entity of Carl, where we uploaded his ID document. At which point it said that it was in that pending status, and that of course we now had to wait. So let's share the screen and let's log on there. Remember, you've got to have that password with a special character, 10 letters long or 10 characters long, with at least one number and one special character. And let's log on, yeah. Okay, I'm still using Microsoft Edge in order to follow the process. As I mentioned yesterday, Monday, the 8th of March, 2021. Today now being the 9th. Just to highlight what has actually happened. At around about 22:41, I received an email, or at least Carl received an email, and it says that your ICASA account is now linked to the ICASA system. So whether this is part of the automated process or the notifications are only put out several hours later, as you can see, it was pretty late at night that we did get the confirmation that the account had in actual fact been linked to the system. So what I'm now going to do is ultimately I want to just take you through that verification process using my ICASA account. If you take a look now at the verification status, it says it's now verified. Yesterday it said it was not. And then of course you can also go and view the details that have been captured on the account. So now we know that we've got the primary details for the legal entity, or the details for the primary legal entity has now been created. And of course, if we go back to ICASA online, we can now start transacting. All right, so as mentioned in the previous video, broadcasting spectrum, guys, radio amateurs, you are not going to be using this section unless you're setting up a community radio station. This set of videos is designed specifically for radio amateurs, transferring their old licenses into the new online system, termed legacy license, over to the new online portal. Type approval. For those businesses, companies, dealers, distributors, importers, any RF equipment that you need to apply for type approval, you'll use this. Radio amateurs, generally speaking, you will not. This is now where the radio amateurs are going to work, and that is in the radio frequency spectrum. Just as a side note, anything to do with radio communications, I will show you. I'll take you through the process in a second. You will see all the various types of licenses that you can apply for, including CB radio, for those CB radio operators that are not yet licensed. So I think on this video, maybe what I should do is just go through a couple of the pitfalls and highlight the pitfalls and show you what not to do initially. So as an existing radio amateur, for all intents and purposes, you should not be applying for a new license. You've already got one. My apologies. And many people, many radio amateurs have actually moved over to apply. I will show you the result of what you will see on screen. So we will, in actual fact, be going through two processes here. As you can see that if you go from the online main menu and you click on apply, it's asking you, do you want to do this for yourself as Kyle Marlam? Or do you want to do it on behalf of another person, private entity, or association, i.e. a club? Now, remember what I said, we are looking at different entities, legal entities. So step one, I think I should take a look at if we do an application as myself, what actually happens. Again, please wait. Today it seems to be super fast on the load, which is great. And of course, now you can start looking at what you are going to apply for. And please remember that this is for new applications, not for existing. And this video is what not to do. Now you can see you will apply for land mobile, i.e. commercial two-way radio, amateur, fixed stations, aeronautical, maritime, satellite, or radio dealers. Guys, I'm not going to go through each one. I'm just going to make it simple for the radio amateurs, and I'm going to select radio amateur. As I said to you, please remember that you could, in actual fact, under land mobile, go and apply for citizen band radio, your 27, 29, although 29, that's questionable, HF frequencies, repeater systems, all of that sits here. But for those radio amateurs who actually are of the opinion that your amateur radio license permits you to use the 27 meg citizen band or 11 meter band frequencies, guys, you need to come and apply for that license. It's a separate license and is not covered by your amateur license. So, having said, I will keep it for amateurs and simplify it for radio amateurs. We will click on amateur. Now, amateur, there's a couple of possibilities or types of licenses. Your unrestricted, your novice, your beacon, your repeater station, digipeater, listeners, experimental, guest, special event license. So, yep, I think that all the Echolink broadcasters should be putting in applications for beacons as well. However, I said we'll keep it simplified. So you will select unrestricted. Again, looking at our option buttons at the bottom, you can save this so that whatever changes you've made will, in actual fact, be there when you come back in. For example, after my blue screen error yesterday. If you submit it, it will move you to the next step. So you can see step 1, select application. Step 2, general details. 3, your network details. 4, your station details. And 5, your supporting documentation. So we will have to see how far we will actually get on what not to do before we have to end the process and ultimately cancel. Because when you cancel, it will delete the application. So for now, I just want to click the submit button. At this stage, I don't want to tempt the system where it is going to start looking for all the other bits and pieces. However, I do know that on this particular side, and you'll see under the legacy license, we will also have it coming up at some point or another. So, yeah, you will insert your postal code, in our case, 1709. You need to give a description, the purpose of service. So, in this case, amateur radio station. Guys, please be aware of the fact that whatever you actually input on the purpose of service, I don't have it open at the moment. Whatever you put in here will in actual fact be displayed on the physical license. Again, you can now select 1 to 5 year because it is on radio amateur. and I'm going to select next or submit. In other words, submit is our next button for those of us that are accustomed to moving from one page to another page. And there's the infamous loading, and let us wait. All right, so while we were waiting, of course, I did my normal, I paused the details. However, I just want to point out there where the description on the previous screen, I quickly opened up, and you'll see the purpose of the license. Whatever it is that you type in there will in actual fact be displayed on the physical license itself, the amateur license, and any other license application. Right, so here now is where we start having a look at a couple of areas. One thing I would like to point out, you will notice that all of the regions are in actual fact here, except for, and I must admit I had a problem trying to find it. Gauteng, we don't actually see Gauteng. So be careful of that one because it falls under northern provinces. Now when you click on, let me just go back there. I think I might have been a little bit too fast. If you are in ZS6, well, let's just click on Western Cape and your call sign. It will start listing all the available ZR and ZS call signs for region 1. So there we go. If I do ZS1, it will tell us it's processing, and then it will start with your ZS. So please be aware of the fact. I will come back and show it to you again. I just want to work on northern provinces because northern provinces is in actual fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a call sign, and it will start without anything in the search. It will start with your ZR, and if you do the ZS, be very careful when you do a new application or any input at this point. If it's ZS6, there's a space between the next character. Take note, there's a space between ZS6, alpha, alpha, alpha. It doesn't show anything, but when you put your space in, it'll allow you to then assign that particular license. Again, input the station address. I'm just going to say address at this stage. As I said, I would like to see how far we actually can go. I think at the supporting documents at that page, I'm not going to submit it, but I will in actual fact move one step back. A reminder, this is what not to do when you are wanting to move from the old legacy license to the new license. Right. I didn't have to pause because it was pretty quick this time. Guys, when you transfer legacy to the new licensing system, many of the screens that you have seen here will in actual fact appear during that process, and you will see it when we do each individual video. But please take note that the upload HAREX certificate is a requirement, and you can put in any comments. Any other documents you can also upload. Like, for example, you could upload your ID document, you could upload your club constitution, you could, that's actually a good example here. You might be applying for a new club license. It could have been a beacon license. This is where you will, in actual fact, make the application for new license applications. But one other thing that you need to take note of is upload your proof of setup, adjustment, and operate an HF receiver. Guys, I want to point out that many of the radio amateurs, whether SAL or non-SAL members, may not at this stage have in their possession a HAREC certificate. Also, the majority of radio amateurs prior to 2015 or thereabout will not have had to have undertaken an HF prep assessment or HF setup assessment and be certified that they are in actual fact capable of setting up, adjusting and operating an HF receiver. Now, this is going to pose a dilemma for many radio amateurs countrywide. Because at this point, in terms of the regulations, which clearly stipulates that the authority, i.e. ICASA, will issue a license when you have submitted a HAREC, or if you are in possession of a HAREC, and you can prove that you are capable of setting up and operating an HF transceiver. And the dilemma now comes in, which, to be quite honest, my blood is boiling over. You now have to apply to the SAL for a copy of these documents at a cost of 50 Rand per certificate. And if you cannot collect the certificate, you need to pay an additional 99 Rand to have it sent to the nearest postnet, wherever you may be. So the older or longer qualified radio amateurs may have to spend 200 Rand on their certification documents, plus 99 Rand, a total of 200 Rand, in order for SAL, having gone through a process of submitting your ID document and whatever else, and waiting and again, SAL just delaying the process for them to print the document, to send it to you via postnet. By the time you get it, you spend 200 Rand, and then you will have to find a scanner and scan both documents into a PDF file in order for you to upload these documents on the ICASA website. And as a side note, I want every amateur in this country to know that if 5,000 radio amateurs need to spend 50 Rand on a certificate, that means the SAL will generate an income of 250,000 Rand for approximately 40,000 Rand cost. And I have engaged with SAL on this, and they've turned around and said they have no intention of sending it to us in a PDF format. So I just like, I said, this is the pitfalls that I'm going to point out. At this point, guys, whether you are transferring your existing legacy license to the new system, or you are applying for a new amateur station license for whatever purpose, please know that this is a pitfall. And in all honesty, I believe that every amateur should in actual fact refuse to make that payment and demand a PDF from the South African Radio League. I do not see why the South African Radio League should generate any income as a result of ICASA implementing a new system. This is not a reprint of certificates or a reprint of certificates that are lost or otherwise. The majority of radio amateurs will not be in possession of setup proofs. All right, so having covered that point, at this point, I'm not going to complete this application any further. I actually want to exit at this point in order to show you that when I go, now that I'm back at my main screen, if I click on manage, you will see that there is a customer application incomplete. Now guys, this is the video of what not to do when transferring from legacy to new. And people have gone and applied, and now they end up with a whole string of customer applications incomplete, and they've tried it under type approval and broadcast licenses. If you have that situation, please just click on continue. Wait for the load to come up, and then click on cancel. And it'll ask you at the top here, are sure you, if there's any ICASA developers watching the video, please can you possibly just correct the grammar. Are you sure you want to permanently cancel the application, or it should say delete the application? We're going to say okay, and then you're going to wait. Please take note at the top here. There we go. It looks like they've undertaken some development on the site, because previously it threw out an error, and then you had to go back to ICASA Online, and when you went back into manage, voila, your data is cleared. All right, so that gives you an indication of what not to do. I think I will end the video at this point. I do, however, would want to bring in the next video where we will do probably not the next one, but the one following that, how we deal with apply on behalf of. So guys, I hope that this is as clear as mud, that you fully understand what not to do if you are transferring across. The next video will show you what you should do. And of course, the other thing is, be aware of that pitfall. Guys, outside of sort of the NARC area, you may very well have to spend 200 Rand. That is 99 Rand postnet, delivery charges, and 50 Rand for a HAREC, and an additional 50 Rand for a certificate to say you're capable of setting up a HF station, purely because of the fact that SAL refuses to provide it in PDF format at no cost for no cost. So there we go. We'll catch you on the next video.